Perek Zion, the 17th chapter of the book of Mishlei. Tov pat chareva v'shalva mibayit malei ziv cheriv. Better a dry crust with peace than a house full of feasting with strife. We had this already yesterday's chapter. Similar notions and ideas. It's really a continuation, even though it's not always a continuation. Many messages are just sort of their own thing, but this idea of peace and tranquility is greater than the gold and the silver, which of course we know to be true. Eved maskil yimshol beben mevish uvetoch achim yachalok nachala. So a servant who has seichel, a servant who's capable, will dominate an incompetent son and share the inheritance with the brothers. So this is, one of the things that we've talked about at times is hard work, and right. So here we have the hard work. We have somebody he's a servant. He's not starting in the same place where the children have, but shows his good hard work, his dedication to his master, and ultimately will share in some of the inheritance. For silver, you need the crucible. For gold, you need the furnace. And God tests the mind. So, right. So this is saying the same way you have to go through the kur habarzel. We have to go through sometimes in life to be refined. Difficult things need to happen the same way that God does that same thing, just to make things gold and silver. Someone was telling me last night who struggled a lot for a long time financially in his life, and after a while has done very, very well. And he says, I can look back and I can say, it was all worth it through the years. And I said, yeah, that's because you made it now. But if you hadn't made it, or you're one of those other people who hadn't made it, then you wouldn't be saying the same thing. So here, right, the idea is that God is going to test you, but you're going to come out as the gold and the silver. In verse 4, Pasuk Dal, Meira makshiv al sfat aven. Sheker mezin al lashon havot. Evildoers listen to mischievous evil talk. A liar gives ear to bad words. Loeg larash cheref osehu. Sameach le'ed lo yinakeh. He who mocks the poor affronts his maker. He who rejoices over another's misfortune will not go unpunished. The first half of this verse, we had a verse 2 chapters ago, which was very, very similar to this verse. And I mentioned in that verse the Gemara cites this verse: if you mock the poor, as you cannot wear your tzitzis out in the cemetery. And their tzitzis maybe were longer back then. Their tzitzis might have gone and dragged on the ground, it appears in the Gemara. And so that's mocking the poor. In a sense, we don't know if the person who's buried was poor or rich, but they are poor in the fact that they cannot do mitzvot anymore. And so the other verse we had, 2 chapters, we had Loeg Larash, we didn't have the Cheref Osehu. And here the second half of this verse, he who rejoices over another's misfortune will not go unpunished, right? I can never pronounce Schadenfreude or however it's supposed to be pronounced with any sort of a German accent. But you shouldn't rejoice in another's misfortune. That's not something that you should do. If somebody who harms you greatly in life, sometimes it's hard not to. Ateret zikenim b'nei vanim v'tiferet banim avotam. Grandchildren are the crown of their elders, and the glory of children is their parents. So even the parents, even the middle generation gets through. This is a phrase that's used in different Hasidic literature and in sort of Jewish music and Jewish songs today. And we live at a time where people generally live longer, and they see grandchildren. They even see great-grandchildren, not just b'nei vanim, as like we see with Yaakov, that Yaakov was able to bless his grandchildren, Ephraim and Menashe, before he passed away. So this is something that many in the modern world that we are able to get to. Commentaries explain here that grandchildren are the crown of their elders when they stay on the straight path. Lo na'aval l'naval sfati yeter, af ki l'nadiv sfat shaker. So lofty words are not fitting, are not there for a villain. Even more so, lying words for a great man, right? If you're a terrible man, any lofty words that you have is going to be in vain. And if you're a great man, you shouldn't be lying. Evan chen ashochad b'nei v'alav el kol asher yifnei yaskil. A bribe seems like a good thing to he who uses it. He succeeds at every turn. It looks like it's going to work out if you bribe somebody. And he could be just successful and it could work out the bribe here, as well as somebody who is acting in a legal and a fraudulent manner. Oftentimes they convince themselves that what they're doing is right. Oh, I'm only not doing X, Y, and Z, which I'm supposed to do for my governmental responsibilities, the money, and I'm giving it to charity. Right? You can convince yourself that most everything is justified. Continuing in verse 9, he who looks for love overlooks faults, but he who harps on a matter alienates his friend, right? It's always easy to point out what somebody does wrong. It's always easy. We have spouses, we know this is something that my spouse does that irritates me, that annoys me. Well, you know what? It's not going to work out unless you can figure out a way to overlook it. No two people are exactly the same, and no two things are perfect. And right, you can't harp on it, or else you're going to alienate the other, whether it be a spouse or whether it be a friend. Teichat. A rebuke works on an intelligent man more than 100 blows on a fool. This theme we haven't had as much in this chapter and the last chapter, but in 2-3 chapters go over and over again. Wisdom will come to those who are willing to take the rebukes, the suggestions of others. An evil man seeks only to rebel. A ruthless messenger will be sent out against such a person. Pagosh dov shakul bi'ish v'al ksil bi'ivlato. So it's better to meet a bereaved she-bear, right? A bereaved she-bear. Think of a bear. When are bears scary? When they think you're stealing their children. So, right, a bereaved she-bear who some human being took their, is near their cubs. It's better to meet that than a fool with his nonsense. I don't know that I necessarily agree with verse 12, but I understand the reason behind it. Meshiv ra'a tachat tova. Lo tamush ra'am mibito. Evil never leaves the house of him who repays good with evil, right? If you get something, does something good to you, and you do something bad back to somebody else, the evil is there, and once the evil is there, it's very, very hard to get rid of that. So Gemara in Masechet Kedushin, that I believe it's Masechet Kedushin, that says that when somebody has sinned, it's naseh kehutralo. It's like it's permitted to them. Right, the first time you do something, it's very difficult to do that thing. First time you cheat, the first time, whatever it might be, the first time you cheat on a test in school, the first time you, whatever it might be. The second time, I already did the first time, nothing happens. Once that evil is there, it's very hard for it to depart. Gemara says, Gemara doesn't say, if you steal once, you're allowed to steal twice, but you feel like you could steal a second time because you already stole the first time. Reshit madon vilifnei hit gala hariv nitosh. To start a quarrel is to open it up before a dispute flares up. Drop it, right? So you have those people that like to cause trouble. They like to see tension, and right, open up that bag and everything comes flying out. So put a lid on it, zip it up quickly. We're in verse 15. To acquit the guilty and convict the innocent, both are an abomination of God, whether it's right or wrong, when you are convicting either one in the wrong way. What good is money in the hand of a fool to purchase wisdom when he has no mind? And this is referring to, according to the commentaries, learning Torah. So if you have somebody who is a fool, again, a fool here is not just somebody who is not very intelligent, but it's somebody who generally, I think there's a moral aspect to it. If we think of chokhmah, the wisdom, that is the moral aspect. It's not just being an intellectual. It's about what you are learning, what you are studying, changing and reforming and improving, probably is the best word, your behavior. And the fool is somebody who, maybe they want to study a little bit, but it's not going to improve their behavior. So that's what this verse says. There are other places in our sources that talk about a person should study, a person should learn, and even if it starts, you start doing it shalom lishma, not for the right reasons, eventually it will have an impact on you, and it will be lishma. It will be something that will impact you if you are studying and whatnot. Let's continue to verse 17. Pasuk Zayin. B'chol eit ohev hareya va'ach l'tzarai yivaled. A friend is devoted at all times. A brother is born to share adversity, right? It's not what's the big deal of being a good brother when everything is fine. It's when your brother has trouble. It's when your brother has problems that they need you. If you're a friend, you got to be a friend to somebody both at the joyous times and sadly at the sad times. As you guys, I think I mentioned to you, I'm here for this bar mitzvah, and I came in for shiva. I'm much happier to be here for the bar mitzvah. But it's a little challenging. Bar mitzvah boy. I was talking to the bar mitzvah boy's grandparents moments ago, and their daughter, the mother of the bar mitzvah boy, passed away a number of years ago. So it's a hard thing to see. But a brother, a friend, is during the time of adversity, during the time of difficulty. Adam chaser lev tokea kaf, orev aruba lifnei re'eu. Devoid of sense is the one who gives his hand to stand surely for his fellow, right? So, ohev pesha, ohev matzah, magbia pitcho bevake shaver. The person who loves sin, loves strife. The person who builds a high threshold invites broken bones, right? So, what this means is somebody who is talking very highly about themselves, somebody who builds a high threshold, right? Trouble's going to come to you. I'm so great, I'm so this, I'm so that. You're going to fall. If we didn't look at length, and back when we studied the book of Shmuel, but if you remember when Shmuel anointed Shaul as the first king, he took him outside and he brought him up on the roof onto the Gog, and he poured the oil on him. And if you start out on the roof, there's only one way to go, is down. So the high threshold invites broken bones. And Shaul's kingship, not for right now, but right, Shaul, he fails, and his greatest failure is with somebody whose name is Agag. Basically the same word. Continuing verse 20, man of crooked mind comes to no good, and he who speaks with duplicity falls into trouble. One begets a dull, a foolish person to one's own grief. The father of a villain has no joy, as opposed to, right, earlier we have this Teretz Zakeda B'nei Vanim, right? The grandchildren are the crown of their grandparents' jewels, and here we have the father of a villain has no joy. Leiv Sameach Yetiv Geha V'ruach Nichea Tiabesh Garem. A joyful heart makes for good health. Despondency dries up the bones. Many people would say it's not so easy to just be joyous, to just be happy. It doesn't just work like that you can just be happy or be joyous. Find something that you love. Hopefully it'll make you a little bit more joyous in life. The wicked man draws a bribe out of his cloak to pervert the court of justice. And interestingly, why does he just say the wicked man draws out a bribe? Why is it saying like he's taking it out from himself? And it seems to be, to me at least, saying like his entire being, his entire body is wicked. So it's like he's drawing it out from his bosom. He's drawing it out from himself, from his body. It's the, in a sense, almost the essence of who he has become. Wisdom lies before the intelligent man. The eyes of the dull, the eyes of the fool, range to the ends of the earth. They can look everywhere for wisdom. They can look everywhere for what they want, but they won't find it. A stupid son, a foolish son, is the vexation for his father, and a heartache for the woman who gave birth to him. Otherwise, what we like to call a mother. To punish the innocent is not right. To flog the great for their uprightness, right? The world, this goes back in a sense to many chapters in Tehillim, where we talked about David complaining about a world where the evil people were after him, and it seems that wickedness is rampant. So those things are not okay. So a man of knowledge, a man of dat, watches his words. A man of understanding and binav analysis is reticent. He also doesn't want to say too much. Even a fool, if he keeps silence, is deemed wise. intelligent if he seals his lips. And that phrase is that last verse is a sort of an exception. We've had so much of the ksil, or the fool versus the wise one. The wise, like the two are right. The fool, can learn Torah, can try to attain wisdom. It's not going to work as moral education. So the only thing that here is you can, even the fool, even the person who's very intelligent, nobody's going to know you're an idiot. So, right, we've said that before. We said it many times last chapter, because it's one of the themes that comes out over and over again in these chapter. But Geder l'chochma shtika, from I believe it's in Pirkei Avot, the best way to the way to set up a fence to safeguard your intelligence is to just be quiet. You won't say anything foolish. I should remember that a little bit more often, and maybe I'll say less dumb things at a time that are then pointed out to me, that not by you guys. You guys are very kind. It's usually my family members who care the most and are most willing to offer me those rebukes, which, as it says in this book, I should certainly listen to.